My experience with the original Pokémon Ruby and Sapphire was always different compared to my playtime with every other Pokémon generations. The third gen was when I thought I was too old for the series and stopped playing. It wasn't until I was pulled back by the allure of the fourth gen that I went and played them. And while I could see all the things it did well, it became one of the lesser Pokémon generations in my mind. The Pokémon variety felt poor, the story felt old hat, and yes, I thought there was too much water. But time has a way of changing perspective, and remakes are an excellent opportunity to fix problems that the original had. So I came into Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire with an open mind, and I feel I was rewarded for that mindset. The story of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire is essentially the same as the originals. You're still a young trainer who moves to the Hoenn region and decides to go on a journey to become Pokemon Champion while battling either Team Magma or Team Aqua along the way. But the story has been expanded to flesh out the characters and help bring it more in line with Pokemon X and Y, specifically the presence of Mega Evolutions. It's an appreciable effort since Pokemon storylines have become slightly more refined over the years. But it's the Delta episode that really clicked with me. After completing the main game, this brand new epilogue begins. It introduces a new character and brings a similar kind of depth that the story in Pokemon Black and White had. Showing the player the kind of responsibilities they have as champion is something the games have never really gone into, and the climax really is a great moment for fans. But it's not without its weaknesses. So much of it is spent going from place to place that there's little time to take it all in. More new areas to explore would have made the whole thing really click, but, as is, I still really want more of this in future Pokemon games. The best thing about Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, though, is the sheer amount of improvements and additions they've made over X and Y. Getting rid of the skates and allowing for full 360-degree movement really goes a long way in making this world fun to explore, and searching for Megastones is no longer the timed hassle that it once was. But the best addition is the new PokéNav Plus. It includes the player search system, Pokemon Ami, and Super Training from the previous game, as well as the new DexNav, AreaNav, and BuzzNav. The DexNav goes hand in hand with the new sneaking ability. As you travel, you'll see silhouettes of Pokemon sticking out of the grass. The DexNav will identify these Pokemon and display information about them such as their level and ability. The more you sneak up on a specific Pokemon, the more information the DexNav will display. This makes it another way of finding the Pokemon you want with the potential you want. But if you're like me and don't really care about raising perfect Pokemon for competitive battling, DexNav still has its use. It actually keeps track of all the Pokemon that can be caught in an area. It makes catching them all a lot easier to track. Likewise, AreaNav helps the player keep tabs on many different things throughout the world, such as where trainers want to challenge you again, where berries that you've planted are ready for harvest, and of course what each town contains. It also serves as a way to quickly access Fly, which has been made even more useful. Rather than just being able to fly to towns, players can now return to specific routes as long as the sign marking the route has been read. It makes exploring the region much easier and quicker than ever before. Unfortunately, I never found the same amount of use from BuzzNav. It usually only clued you into things happening across the region, which was never really a draw for me. And then there's the new Soar feature. While this is an awesome way to explore all of Hoenn in the late game, I also found it less efficient than just using Fly. But its main use is exploring the world for mirage spots that contain rare Pokemon and items. It and the Battle Resort do help expand the post-game content, but it doesn't feel as meaty as the Delta episode. I also found that unlocking the mirage spots containing the many different legendaries in this game were incredibly obtuse at times. Secret bases and the Pokemon contests also returned from the original games, greatly expanded like everything else. The secret bases can actually be turned into a kind of personal gym to challenge your friends, or just be a neat place to show off a bunch of plushies and items. But it was the contest that surprisingly hooked me. I never quite became enthralled with the mode, but I did try them out more than a few times, and that may be because of the new side story attached to it. Seeing this story progress actually gave me a little motivation to continue through the different contests. The Pokémon games have never been the most graphically intense, but the engine that debuted last year still does a great job of showing everything off. The world seems breathing and alive as you explore, and each Pokémon is lovingly rendered, though the battle animations are pretty much the same. The music is also well done, though some of the remixes are better than others. Once again, it's the Delta episode that really shows off something new and different in terms of style. With all of these improvements, I feel like I should like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire more than X and Y, but that's not the case, and there's a personal reason for that. I'm just not a big fan of the region. The Pokémon variety during the main game is incredibly lacking to me, especially coming off the previous title. And while HM management is not that big of a deal, I still found it to be obtrusive. But even with all that said, this is still a much better game than the original Ruby and Sapphire. I truly like it a lot. And I'm curious to see where Pokémon goes from here with all of these changes and improvements. With any luck, we'll also see more scenarios like the Delta episode. Thanks for watching, and be sure to stay tuned to GameXplain for more on Pokémon and other things gaming.